This is INOVA 101, Colors and Tails. So have you ever been in a situation where you have a lot of different needs on your students and you felt like you didn't know exactly which play you needed to play? That's exactly what INOVA does for you. When you ask yourself, what do I need to do here? INOVA tells you exactly what needs to take place with the kids. So the objective of this video, by the end of it, you should be able to understand the purpose of INOVA and its connection to Irving ISD, as well as be able to explain the colors on an INOVA student profile and the index it relates to, and to be able to explain the tails in an INOVA student profile and the index it relates to. Its connection to Irving ISD is in the following way. INOVA helps you establish clear goals for your kids. Knowing exactly the scenarios and archetypes that they fall in help you better understand what their numbers are, and seeing the interventions for the different archetypes and scenarios help you guide and implement the interventions that need to take place, all while having a great attitude. So again, the purpose of INOVA and its relationship to the district is having clear goals, knowing your numbers, implementing interventions, and having a great attitude. The first part in understanding INOVA has to do with the colors. And when you think of colors, think of index 1. Now, whenever I give somebody a thumbs up, I always think, that's like a green light, like good job. And so in thinking about the thumb being a good job, that to me, it's easy to remember that that's a green. So reviewing the colors, you have the green, then you have blue, gray, yellow, and red. The way I memorized those was seeing this as a traffic light. You have green, then yellow and red at the end. Gray is in the middle, and just blue. Memorize blue. So you have green, blue, gray, yellow, and red. Now these colors tell you the odds of a student passing, or now these colors tell you the odds of a student performing satisfactorily or passing. So for green, those are students that are most likely to pass. The blue students are those that should pass. Gray indicates those that may pass, or what we used to call in the old days bubble kids. The yellow indicates probably not going to pass, and the red not likely to pass. Now it's important to mention that these colors indicate if they're likely or not to pass without you doing anything about it. So by implementing interventions, we're increasing the likelihood of students passing. So let's test your skills. When we see this next picture, think only on colors. Do not look at the placement yet of where the color is within the curve. Okay, so once again, on the next slide, do not look at the placement of the curve, only look at the colors. So let's test your skills. We have a color green, and what was a color green? Exactly, color green tells you that the child is very likely to pass. Now let's look at this one, color red. The color red tells you, that is right, it tells you that the student is most probably not going to pass. Again, this is considering you not doing anything about it. So having said that, quickly review. Green is they're most likely to pass. Blue is they probably will pass. Gray, maybe they'll pass. Yellow, they might pass. And red, they're most likely not going to pass. So that's as far as index 1 and as far as the colors go. Now let's review index 2. On index 2, you would need to look at the placement of the color within the curve. So for this example, we're only seeing placement. Don't look at the color now, so just placement. We see that the placement here of this color is on the far tail left, which means this student made significant negative growth. If the color is within the tail left, that means that the student had some negative growth. If they're in the center, that indicates that the student gained what they should have, statistically speaking, what they should have gained. Then tail right tells you that the student gained more than predicted, and far tail right tells you that the student made significant positive growth. So let's look at these examples. Now we're going to actually combine both index 1 and index 2. So we're going to combine colors, which is index 1, and tails, which is index 2. So let's look at this example. First, we're going to look at the color within this sample. The color is green. And so green tells me that this student is most likely to pass. Now let's look at the location of the green within the curve. The location is far tail left. And far tail left means that that specific student showed significant negative growth. All right, let's move on to sample number 2. Looking at the color first, this is a blue that indicates that this student should pass, and the location within the curve is on tail left, which tells me that there was some negative growth. Moving to the third example. This student, first looking at the color, is a red. That tells me that the student is least likely to pass. The location of the red is in the middle, which tells me that the student gained what they should have gained. Let's look at sample number 4 and think for a few seconds. Look at the color first. This is a gray. What does gray tell you? Gray tells you that the student may pass. In other words, he's a bubble kid. And now let's look at the location of the gray. It's almost to the right, but not quite there. So that's called tail right. And so tail right tells us that this student gained more than predicted. And last example, example number 5. This particular color is red, and the color red tells us that this student is least likely to pass. However, they're far tail right, which tells us that this student made significant positive growth. So now let's test your skills. Student example number 1. Is this student on track to pass for index 1? So for index 1, we're looking at color, and so his color is green. So yes, this student is on track to pass for index 1. So now let's review where the location of the green within the curve. This is on the far tail left, which is the student adding value every year to pass for index 2? No, he is not adding value because he's a far tail left. He's been showing significant negative growth. So even though he's still on track to pass, he's been, well, having significant negative growth. So this child will not help us for index 2. Let's look at another example. Student example number 2. Is this student on track to pass for index 1? So for index 1, we look at color, and he's a red. Red is least likely to pass, so no, this student is not on track to pass, and therefore would count against us for index 1. Is this student adding value every year to pass for index 2? Well, the student gained what the student should have gained, statistically speaking, so yes, he is adding value every year to pass for index 2. So you should now have an understanding of the purpose of INOVA and its connection to Irving ISD. And you should be able to explain the colors in an INOVA student profile as well as the tails and the indices it relates to. If you have not met the objective, then feel free to review this presentation. If you have any questions, please contact your administrator or academic specialist who would be more than happy to assist with any further questions you may have. Thank you.